Tonight, Port Lincoln Police investigating after two improvised explosive devices were detonated just metres from the hospital. And excavators called in to Waroona Island as council upgrades the boat ramp and car park.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Police are investigating after two improvised explosive devices were detonated in Port Lincoln. Officers say the first IED went off just before midnight last Tuesday, April 4, the explosion destroying a letterbox along Stroud Street. A second IED was detonated sometime between last Wednesday, April 5, and this Monday just gone, April 10. The second explosion originated in a drain along Ruskin Road, just 600 metres from the hospital. While no one was hurt in either incident, police are concerned about the danger these kind of detonations are posing to members of the public. Anyone with information about these explosions is urged to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. As the school holidays approach, the South Australian Petrol Commissioner has visited the Spencer Gulf to investigate price gouging at service stations. Those caught breaking the rules face major penalties, especially if they're repeat offenders.
Motorists looking for the cheapest fuel have had a nasty shock when driving up to the Bowser, with the prices on fuel apps not always matching up with what they're seeing at the petrol station. During the Easter long weekend and as the school holidays get underway, there's concerns prices are not being updated in a timely manner. The inconvenience sparking an investigation by the Consumer Affairs Commissioner to see if we're being ripped off with out-of-date prices.
It is really concerning because people obviously want to make sure they can get away and not spend a lot of money on petrol to do so. And where prices go up, it is really concerning.
Country petrol outlets are the main target of the investigation.
Through Whyalla, Port Augusta and Port Pirie, and speak to a few people that I deal with from the councils and the police and regulated industries. But we've had officers across the Spencer Gulf and the West Coast looking at petrol pricing and compliance.
Thankfully, the majority of our local servos are doing the right thing and following the rules.
A few breaches, but largely there's been compliance. And what it is important is that people can access the apps that are available with petrol prices and have confidence that they are being updated in a timely manner.
Petrol stations found to be price gouging can face an on-the-spot fine of up to $550, and repeat offenders could be slapped with a $10,000 fine and prosecution. The Commissioner's investigation continues. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay tuned, we'll bring you our weekly Fuel Watch segment a little later in the Bulletin. Walking and cycling tracks, fishing and spectacular views of the Spencer Gulf, Waroona Island is a quiet township with a lot to offer. And it's about to become more accessible with upgrades to the boat ramp and car park.
Located on a cliff front, safety has been an ongoing concern among the community.
We've got some machinery in there, and so we've redressed the face of the hill area there where it was at risk of rockfalls. So that's made it much safer.
The area popular among locals and tourists. Council stepping in, devising a long-term solution to improve safety and accessibility for now and into the future.
Also made the park more functional. It will also help cater for the increased activities there. It meant that we could remove all the loose debris at the bottom of all of that, which has increased the car parking area by a good many cars or boats.
Major construction is now complete, and Council is looking at further safety measures.
Just now waiting to just put some bollards in there just to stop people from sort of going too close to them.
Next time you visit the area, be mindful of recent works as you enjoy the many activities the island has to offer. Annabella Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The Central Darling Shire has officially launched its new Heritage Trail app, showcasing the best the Shire has to offer. Our reporter Joshua Mercer has more.
The Heritage app is now available for download through the App Store for iPhone and Google Play for Android devices. People will be able to uncover some of the hidden gems in Menindee, Wilcannia and Whitecliffs. The Central Darling Shire Council developing the app with the University of Newcastle, with Dr Bernadette Draish, the project lead, along with a number of professors and students. The team travelling out to each of the towns to collect the stories. Researchers also had help from heritage consultant Ben Churcher. From podcasts to videos, and also mapping of the Shire, there is plenty there for people to look up while driving from town to town. There are also some helpful navigation and tour tips on the app, and an acknowledgement of country voiced by Mike Pixton. People will get to learn about the first inland mutiny on a paddle steamer, as well as other major events in history. The authenticity comes through from the stories gathered by the researchers by speaking to locals. The app will come in handy for travellers as Far West is now heading into tourist season, which will see each of the towns get a lot busier over the coming months. If travelling the Shire, be sure to download the app.
Thanks, Josh. Wow. But still to come tonight, modern day movie making in Broken Hill. Talented teens try their hand at directing smartphone films. And a pillar of Port Lincoln's community celebrating being declared cancer-free. Welcome back. It's been an eventful bushfire season on the Spencer Gulf, with fires raging in Port Lincoln and Port Augusta less than 2 months ago, destroying hundreds of hectares. But as the cooler weather rolls around, the only fires in the area will be controlled or small enough to roast a marshmallow on. Come this Saturday, April 15, the CFS will lift the fire ban in the lower and eastern Eyre Peninsula and the Flinders region. The fire bans will remain in place a bit longer in the mid-north and York Peninsula regions, set to end at the end of the month. A smartphone workshop came to Broken Hill today, teaching young people how to film a movie on their device. From storytelling to the art of the perfect shot, the class covered everything amateurs needed to make a film.
Lights, camera, action. Some eager locals were keen to learn the tricks of the trade.
Yeah, here in Broken Hill, the kids are going to learn how to make award-winning films on their phones. Some might not want to be filmmakers, so we're going to teach them how to shoot really great content.
Angela Blake is the co-founder and director of the Smart Foam Film Fest, or SF3 for short.
So we are Australia's International Smartphone Film Festival and now one of the largest smartphone filmmaking education offerings, I guess, in Australia and the world.
The first film festival launched 11 years ago. While living in America, Mrs. Blake noticed that more people were using their phones. She also wanted to make filming even short films more accessible to the masses.
I have an undergrad degree in journalism and I was actually doing an interview and my DSLR overheated and I had to finish it on my iPhone 5 and it kind of got me thinking, and you couldn't tell the difference between the footage, you know.
While all the filming is done on the phone, you can do the editing on your computer if you choose.
For SF3 you do not have to. There are special awards for editing on phones as well. So it's up to each filmmaker. So I teach editing on device and editing on a laptop as well, or a computer.
Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Gulf News.
A few weeks ago, we brought you the touching story of the barber outback as she prepared to undergo surgery following a cancer diagnosis. Our Port Lincoln reporter, Alison Hall, caught up with Tabitha now that she's cancer-free.
Our barber outback is back in business. Tabitha returning to work only 3 weeks after her double mastectomy, with some exciting opportunities on the horizon. Working from home, she's almost ready to step back out in her iconic van.
I'm increasing my my physical strength, my range of motion every day. You know, I achieve something different every day that I couldn't do the day before.
She feels grateful for her work, for the support of her community, and for the charity that housed her in Adelaide throughout the operation process.
I found out via one of the breast care nurses in Adelaide that there was a charity called Under Our Roof, and they are funded by the Hospital Research Foundation Group.
Tabitha says she stayed in one of their 5-star apartments.
They provide 2 beautiful apartments and 2 homes in Adelaide for people like me who come from the country that have to, stay for treatment or, for specialist visits.
Going through the process with the support of a friend, their positive attitudes left some taken aback.
Marina was the girl I met first. She met me with the keys, and she, by her own admission, she was just blown away by my positivity, and she didn't actually know which one of us was there for the operation,
After the support she received, she wanted to give back.
When I expressed my interest, they actually come back and said, well, we've been talking and we think that you would make a great ambassador for our major fundraiser, which is the longest table.
She graciously accepted the role.
I'll be, I guess, the face for that event this year in this area. So I'm really looking forward to what that brings.
Saying she feels honoured to have been chosen.
I see cancer as a gift. I know a lot of people would not see cancer as a gift, but for me, it has opened a door for me to be able to help other people.
Alison Hall, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Thanks, Ali. Stay with us after the break. How cool is this? The Spencer Golf Council updating locals with its own podcast. And bookworms set to flock to Whyalla for this weekend's Reading and Writing Festival. Welcome back to your local news bulletin. Clare and Gilbert Valleys Council was a trailblazer when it came to podcasting, releasing its first episode more than 2 years ago. And the council hasn't looked back.
If you want to stay up to date with the latest news in your council area, but don't want to read the monthly agenda and minutes, you've found your match.
It is relatively unique. I know of a few councils that do podcasts around specific issues, but we've made it as part of our communications activities on a monthly basis.
The podcast couldn't be in better hands, with former ABC broadcast journalist and Clare local Annabelle Homer hosting and producing the episodes.
I went to council to say, would you like to promote my podcast? Because it's promoting businesses in the Clare Valley that have started from scratch and have built themselves up to be these success stories. And would the council be interested in promoting and sponsoring that podcast?
And council went one better and thought, why don't we start our own?
Reporting on the decisions that council had made each month after its main meeting. And then we thought we'd identify some kind of activity or event that might be happening in that month that we could talk about.
Thankfully, Clare is not lacking in that department, with events and projects taking place regularly.
We can talk about the SA Autumn Garden Festival, and I'll go and do a package at certain events, or I go to any events within the Clare Valley, like I could do gourmet.
You can access the podcast on all the usual platforms, including council's website. So next time you have a long car trip, you'll know what to listen to. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Whyalla Readers and Writers Festival gets underway in just 2 days. It's the first of its kind for the city and is part of a major expansion of events to attract more people to the region.
From Friday, the literary world will be focusing on Whyalla for the inaugural Readers and Writers Festival, with the city's library naturally part of the event.
Fully funded through a grant from the Libraries Board in their Innovation Fund. It's the first time they've ever had it, and we were really lucky enough to be successful.
The 3-day festival will feature 3 locations, 9 authors, workshops and readings, including Whyalla's own Stephen Stanley.
Everybody knows Stephen Stanley. I came to Whyalla in 1974 and Stephen was doing cartoons for the newspaper. He's put out his own books, and I do believe he's relaunching and updating them.
Fleur MacDonald coming, Chris Blows, Tricia Stringer, Lee McInerney, Meredith Appleyard, Darry Fraser, all the way from Kangaroo Island, and also Leonie Kelsall from the Adelaide Hills.
With the Unearthed Festival held last month, Whyalla is seeing a boom in cultural events.
We really want to activate our city, so we are working pretty hard. I mean, the Readers and Writers Festival is a fantastic example of us thinking outside the square. The library team did a wonderful job gaining some grant money and to put this event together, and we really want the community to get involved and come along and support it.
There is a great interest in arts, culture, anything like that. So certainly make the most of these authors. It's going to be a fantastic weekend, and I do congratulate the library staff and the Libraries Board for getting behind this.
Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Our weekly Fuel Watch segment is coming up after the break. And spoiler alert, we've definitely seen lower prices. And a few showers about the Gulf this morning. We'll have the weather details with Ruby Cairns. Welcome back. Well, as you may have seen earlier in our bulletin, the Consumer and Business Services Commissioner is keeping an eye on fuel costs across the Spencer Gulf. But compared to this time last week, we're worse off just about everywhere. Starting off with unleaded prices now, and goodness me, red arrows everywhere except for Port Pirie, where the average price of ULP has remained the same at just under $1.86 per litre. 1 litre of unleaded will cost you around $1.88 in Whyalla, 5 cents more than last week. It's worth shopping around in Port Augusta. The ACCC site is showing a 14-cent difference depending on where you shop. As of today, the average price has increased up to $1.92.9, up 6 cents from last week. The price has increased in Kadina as well, up around 1 cent to just under $1.86. In Broken Hill, you can save 7 cents per litre if you shop around. The average price for unleaded sitting at over $1.90 in the Silver City. And finally, in the capital, the average price is $1.89.3 at the moment, 5 cents more than this time 7 days ago. Moving on to the diesel prices now, and as you can see, there is one lonely green arrow, but if you look closer, there's not much to celebrate. The average price of diesel in Port Augusta has decreased by ½ cent to be around $1.98. The cheapest at the moment can be found in Kadina, the York Peninsula town, offering an average price of $1.91 for a litre of diesel. Diesel drivers in Broken Hill and Port Pirie can expect to pay around 4 cents more this week, $1.94.5 in Adelaide at the moment, up from $1.88 last week. The good news is that all the averages are under that dreaded $2 mark. And finally, taking a quick look at how auto gas is faring at the moment. As you can see, some reprieve from all those red arrows. The average price of LPG is down 2 cents in Kadina to just under $1.21, 2 cents cheaper in the city of Churches as well, hovering well under that $1.10 mark. Prices remain stagnant everywhere else. And just a reminder, these prices are just the averages and don't reflect one particular outlet. If you see fuel for cheaper, feel free to let us know via our Facebook page. But it's time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Ruby Cairns. Ruby, we had some rain overnight and a little bit more this morning as well.
That's right, Maddie. Mainly in Clare, the mid-north town recorded around 3.5 millimetres overnight. Showers picked up again soon after at 2:30 this afternoon. Elsewhere, Whyalla, Cleve, Port Lincoln and even Coober Pedy recorded some drops as well, less than a millimetre. Near gale force winds in Port Augusta today, recording 25 degrees by mid-afternoon. But with the wind chill, the feels-like temperature was closer to 20. Just 19 degrees for Clare today, not much warmer than the overnight low of 14.7. Coober Pedy recorded just over 27 degrees, quite late in the day, at around 3:45. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, 22 in Port Lincoln and Port Pirie, 24 in both Woodner and Whyalla. Broken Hill topped 26. Let's take a look at the satellite image now. A low pressure system south of Mount Gambier is extending a trough over the eastern states. The low is near stationary but will weaken tonight. On the Gulf waters tomorrow, southerly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas around a metre, a south to southwesterly swell between 1 and 1.5 metres. Partly cloudy in Port Lincoln tomorrow, 21 degrees, cloud clearing around Cleve, also 21. Woodna, a sunny top of 25 on Thursday. Between 11 and 20 in Whyalla, cloud clearing, just 23 for Port Augusta and Kadina. Port Pirie, sunny, also 23 tomorrow, down to 8 tonight in Clare, warming up to 20 on Thursday. Broken Hill, a sunny top of 22, down to single digits overnight. Let's take a look further through the week now, and starting with Friday's forecast, and it's looking super rainy and perhaps a bit muggy. 24 inch showers for Port Lincoln and Woodna, possible rain in Port Pirie and Port Augusta as well, headed for a high of 28. Very rainy in Coober Pedy, 29, sunny for Broken Hill. Moving on to Saturday's weather map now, and the temperatures do look to be dropping. It's still looking pretty rainy, temperatures between 19 and 21. And finally, taking our first look at how Sunday is looking, rain hanging around Port Pirie and Kadina, and believe it or not, Port Lincoln will be the warmest centre in our region, 2 degrees warmer than Broken Hill's top of 18. And that's all the weather from me tonight. I'll see you a little later with an update. By the way, I love the pink, Maddie. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Ruby. We both got the pink memo. And that's all the good news this Wednesday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.